Oscar Fayette Gaines Day was an American writer and journalist. He was born in 1860 in Chicago, the son of DeWitt Clinton Day. He studied for work in the opera but lost his voice and in 1879 went into newspaper work. He also helped to write the text of the Minnesota primary election law, passed in Minnesota in 1899. In 1893 he married Ellen Rebecca Mallet. He died in 1949 in Florida. His first novel was the 1891 A Mistaken Identity, but after 1894 to 1895 he turned to writing librettos, melodramas and comedies for the stage instead. The Devil's Gold, The Story of a Forgotten Race was his second novel, published in 1892. Harlow Ritchie is walking about New York, very much in a sulk that Bernice should send him a letter declaring her love, but also say she will marry someone else who has more money, but that he should still stay her friend. His friend Harry Damon, who has no faith in women, shakes his head and tells him to go take a journey of some kind to get his mind off things. Just then Harlow's Uncle Sexton invites him to come to Orville to help him make a fortune in gold. Along the way Louise, a beautiful woman from Chile, goes on board the ship, and she and Harlow stare at one another meaningfully, despite the presence of a scowling man at her side. When they do get to Orville, Harlow and company see a battle to the death between a bear and a bull, and Harlow does not find the sport civilized. So one of the prospectors wants to pick a fight with him, but then the scowling man accompanying Louise comes in and shoots Harlow. Falling over, Harlow's friends make short work of the scowling man before Louise herself runs in. Seeing he is only in shock, his heart saved by a pocket watch stopping the bullet, she pours him a drink from a flask, and the flask just happens to have a message on it speaking of a great treasure carved out with a pickaxe in shorthand by a dying man. The flask records the dying wish of August Rutcheck, speaking of a wealth of kings buried beneath the Brother Mountains. Harlow is excited, but Sexton cools his temperament, saying it's all probably nonsense. But then Julian, Louise's brother, comes along and says their father had known Rutcheck, and that both had searched for a great treasure in the past, even mentioning how their father found a child with a gold headband dropped by an eagle while they were en route to the mountains. The group decide to go, and yes, no one notices Julian is Louise for ages and ages. Finding the cave and killing the bear occupying it, they follow the arrows left behind by a long-dead Rutcheck, and they emerge into a room with a giant painting of the devil standing over a gigantic golden nugget. Before they can marvel too much, a giant bat attacks them and shooting it causes a cave-in, trapping them with a giant golden nugget. Trapped in the cave for many days, they detonate some gunpowder and fall into a lower cavern, into Naheco, the prison country, whose Native American inhabitants are cut off from the outside world by massive seas of quicksand and impassable cliffs. Umaro, a benevolent priest, finds them and defends them from the evil priest Ilhama, who wants to kill them all and sacrifice them to the sun. They learn the language of the land from Umaro over many months, and Damon even falls for the Princess Nonona. But Ilhama wishes to have them killed still, so King Casidas must have the Americans branded with the highest brands. So they will be killed not right away, but almost immediately after. For the population of Naheco is strictly regulated, so then when children are born, old men and women are put to death, and even any children born beyond the permitted too. Now Harlow's friends are to be killed the next time anyone is born, but when they go to brand Damon they find out he has a brand already. One of a prince of the royal house, stolen as a babe by an eagle. The heir of the throne Hatesta kills Casidas by accident when trying to kill Damon, and there is a quick civil war. And Damon is told he must only win a war to receive forgiveness from Nonona over a perceived slight to her pride. Damon wins but is tired of being king after only a few months, preferring to go back to New York. Harlow then builds an airship so they can all go, but an earthquake destroys the whole country, leaving them as the only survivors. Umaro crushed beneath the Devil's Gold. The novel is a bit weird. You'd think that population culling thing would be a factor, but none of the protagonists protested even once, and it's only there for a plot device in one scene. The Civil War is over way too soon, and Damon prefers socializing in New York to being an actual king.